Hey, welcome back. With all this feedback and data flowing into our projects, it helps to have some tools that allow us to really take a broad look at how the project's doing, what kind of feedback we're getting, and what we need to address in order to have a more successful product. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at Centercode's dashboards, how to access them and how to use them. And then we'll also take a look at our Delta metrics and how we can use those to gauge the health of our project, the amount of success we might have, and the total impact that the project is having on our product's quality. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so before we start using dashboards within Centercode, let's go ahead and define what our dashboards are. So dashboards are dynamic graphs, charts, and lists built into Centercode, and they're designed to give you a deeper understanding of your project by giving you immediate access to the data that matters the most. And we've got a wide range of dashboards within Centercode. We've got dashboards that show you a complete overview of the project. We have dashboards that allow you to host very effective and efficient syncs with your stakeholders. Dashboards that can show you which feedback to focus on, the top testers in your project, the top pieces of feedback, etc. So we've got a wide array here, and all of them do something very specific to help you run your project even better. Now, another nice thing about dashboards is that they automatically update as new feedback rolls in and gets triaged by your team. So as testers are submitting feedback, as you and your team are going ahead and saying, okay, this issue is under review, or we're going to go ahead and implement this idea, you'll see that reflected in your dashboards, and you also see it reflected in areas like your Delta metrics, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Now that we have a better understanding of our dashboards, let's go ahead and check out some key dashboards within Centercode that allow us to manage our projects efficiently. All right, first off, let's learn how to access our dashboards, and then we'll hop into the first dashboard, the project overview dashboard. I'll go to the menu bar up at the top. I'll click on the management menu, and then our first option is dashboards. And we can click on that to travel directly to our dashboards. Right below where it says Quest 3 Pro dashboard, we have a small drop-down menu, and this allows us to navigate to the different dashboards within our project. Either I can use this list right here and scroll through and select a dashboard, or I can type in the name of a dashboard. So if I wanted to see the product success dashboard, I just type in success, and there you go. Off to the right, we have some filter and view options for our dashboards, and we'll cover those as we go through the video. Right here is our project overview dashboard. I like to consider this the main dashboard within Centercode, and it's going to give us basically a snapshot of how the project is doing, allow us to access things like feedback, and also check in on the performance of Ted, who is our virtual team member. But let's go ahead and start at the top here. You can see that at the top we have our Delta metrics. This is health, success, and impact, and this is designed to give us a look at how the project is doing overall. We'll cover Delta metrics in a little bit more detail later on in the video, but think of health as your total engagement. Think of success as our estimation of how the product will do. And then Delta impact is going to be the overall impact that the project has had on the quality of the product. Below that, we have some somewhat similar information, just presented a little bit differently. We can see how many times testers have engaged with our activities. We can see their overall satisfaction rating based on those FSAT ratings that they do every time they complete an activity and submit some feedback. And then we can also see the total amount of impact score generated by feedback in our project. And if I hover over any of these, you can see that it'll pop up with some more information. So users have successfully completed 108 activities. If I hover over issues right here, you can see that we've generated 679 impact from 80 issues. And I also have these chevrons down here, these little buttons, and I can click on these, and it's going to expand to show more detail about that specific data point. And most panels have these, and it really allows you to get more in depth on the data that's being presented to you within your dashboards. Below that, we have the project schedule. So this is laying out all of the phases that we've planned in our project so far. They're all color-coded based on phase type. So right over here, if I hover over this, this was our onboarding phase. It lasted about 7 days. And then we had a chunk of engagement phases in the middle. And if I hover over this, this is our current phase, has that star denoted with it. And we're currently in the final thoughts phase. And once again, I can go ahead and expand this, get more information about our current phase. We also have a button right here to create a phase if we need to. Now you may notice at the top right, there's also another icon here, and I can actually collapse and expand these panels if I want to hide information or show information according to my needs in a dashboard. So if I wanted to hide the project schedule, I could totally do that. If I want to perhaps hide the delta metrics as well, that's totally possible. So these dashboards are somewhat customizable to your needs within Centercode. Below that, we have our feedback by type. So this is going to list all of the different feedback types that we have within Centercode. And by clicking on these buttons, I can go ahead and expand those. So if I want to see all of the ideas within my project, I can click on that right there. And it's going to list these by total impact score. So the highest impact score items are going to be naturally at the top. And as you scroll through, they're going to be lower in impact score. A lot like our simple view in one of our previous videos, you can expand these items here, take a look at the feedback card. We can click on this to check out the replies and see what testers have been saying. We can click on this and directly travel to the feedback item if we want to. And of course, we have our status and we've got our feature right there, which is really great. Right here, we have the feedback impact by phase. So this is just showing us how much impact was generated by our different feedback types within each phase. So out-of-box experience, we generated a lot of impact for a lot of different features. And then we slowly kind of wound down as the test went on. That's pretty normal. You'll gather a lot of impact and a lot of feedback within the first couple weeks or phases of your test. And it'll slowly start to dwindle down as testers are more so engaging and collaborating rather than submitting new feedback items. Below that, we have our audience. So this is going to list all of the participant teams that we've programmed within our project here. And you can see that we have these bars here that are listing the total health of the team. This is based on the target amount of users we've set for each team. So for example, our tester team, this is our primary team. We have 123% of our target of 80 testers. And if I hover over this option right here, you can see that 6 of the 80 users have verified that they have the product. And we have a tool called product verification that we can use to make sure that testers actually have the product in their hands before they start testing. And we'll talk about that in a future video. So if you see that sort of darker color on top of a lighter color, that's what that means right there. It means the amount of users who have actually verified that they have the product. Below that, we have engagement by phase, so the total amount of activities completed or blocked activities or activities skipped. Once again, I can hover over these and see how many users successfully completed how many activities, and the satisfaction rating for each phase. So we can track that as well. And right below that, we have Ted's project performance. So for this particular test, with just having Ted on in the background, he sent 1.6K messages, which resulted in 406 activities reviewed, 295 activities completed, and then 37 pieces of feedback submitted. So this allows us to check in on Ted's performance without us necessarily having to do anything. We just have Ted on in the background. He was able to generate all of this feedback for us. He was able to send all those messages automatically. And that's a lot of time saved for us. We didn't have to manually send, over 1,500 messages to get those results. We just had Ted doing it for us. A couple different filter items that we can check out here on the project overview dashboard. This is our dashboard filter. And this allows us to narrow down the information presented within this dashboard. It's available on pretty much every dashboard. And I can do all kinds of different things here. I can narrow it down by phase range if I want to. So if I just want to see out-of-box experience to advanced usage and then update that, I'm only going to get the information pertaining to those phases. If I only want to see information from last month, that's also possible. If I just want to see all data, just present me with all data so I can apply some other filters, that's possible as well. And right next to that, I can also narrow it down by team. So if I want to see, data specifically from experience with VR or the iOS teams, I can do that very easily. I can also narrow down which feedback types are shown to me in this dashboard. So right now we have all the information from our issues, ideas, and praise shown here, but I could just toggle this to just ideas if I want to. So I'll click on those, zoom out, and then it's just showing me the data pertaining to ideas. I could do the same thing with maybe just issues and praise. So we'll remove those, and there you go. So we have a lot of granular control over what we see within our dashboards. I can also use detail mode right here. It's that hashtag symbol. And this is just going to break up some of those panels into more detailed sections. So for example, if you see right below our Delta metrics, those bars for activity engagements and feedback impact, they've been broken up into little cells that just show more detail for this specific panel right here. Next up is our feedback card mode. So if I activate this and then go down to our feedback types here, you can see that this expands every single feedback item so that we can see all of them in more detail. Very, very similar to one of the options that we have in our simple list. We also have full width mode. This is just going to expand the dashboard to take up most of your screen here. Again, more of an aesthetic option, right? If you like this more narrow column view, that's great. But we also give you the option to expand it. And then right next to that, we have presentation mode. And presentation mode pairs really, really well with the Delta Huddle Dashboard. And we'll check that out in just a second. All right, so our next dashboard is the Delta Huddle Dashboard. And this allows us to hold very efficient syncs with our stakeholders to present what's going on in the project and what we need to tackle as project managers. So let's go ahead and select Delta Huddle from our list right here. It's right here at the bottom. And we're going to check this out in presentation mode. And these two are kind of tailor-made for each other. Delta Huddle works really, really great inside of presentation mode. I'll break down presentation mode first before we move on to talking more about the Delta Huddle dashboard itself. So what presentation mode does is it allows us to present our dashboards in more of a slideshow style. So rather than having this column view, it's going to break down our dashboards into these individual slides or panels. So I can navigate presentation mode using the arrows on each side of the screen right here. And it's going to go to each panel inside of the dashboard. Each panel is going to be its own slide, so to speak. I could also navigate at the bottom. So if I hover over this, you can see what the name of the panel is. So I can go directly to feedback if I want to, or if I go all the way over here, I can check out the test ending phase or closure phase. So again, a really nice way to efficiently present dashboards within a meeting or with your stakeholders, etc. So let's go ahead and break down the Delta Huddle dashboard. It starts off a lot like the project overview dashboard. For example, we have our Delta metrics right here, and if I click on this, I can expand and see more information about our metrics. And then we go ahead and we move on to our feedback. So we can immediately check out issues if we want to. We can even see the blocking issues, expand those panels, take a look, expand cards, click on replies if we want to see replies, all of that stuff. And then we take a look at our project schedule. So far, very similar to the project overview. And this is kind of just a total kind of project summary right here. After that, we take a break from our project overview dashboard. Instead, we take a look at the test plan. So this is going to show us our previous engagement phase right here, or our previous phase within the project. This was for advanced usage, so this is showing us all the features that we were testing, the satisfaction ratings, the number of feedback items submitted for each feature, and then the Delta metrics for each feature. We can actually show Delta metrics for the whole project, a specific phase, and then a feature if we want to. And if we click on these, we can actually travel directly to that feature and see more about that feature if we want to. After that, we have our active phase. So currently we are in the final thoughts phase. Here are all the features that we're testing. You can see that a couple of these features have a little recycle symbol next to them rather than the bullseye. And that means it is a regression feature. So we're actually testing regression features in this phase. So we've got 2 regression features and we have just 1 standard phased feature. After that, we have the next phase in our project. That's going to be our one of our closure phases, so test ending. But if this was an engagement phase, it would show us the upcoming features that we're testing along with the descriptions for each of those features. So rather than showing, the number of pieces of feedback submitted or the Delta metrics for that feature, it's instead just going to give us kind of a preview of what we're going to be testing. After that, we head into feedback review, and we present these items in order of priority. So we'll start off with our blocking issues. These are issues that are directly preventing testers from completing an activity or testing any further. So they're very high on our priority list. And then after that, we're going to move on to team review. So these are issues and ideas that have been marked as under review within the project. We can take a look at these, review them with our stakeholders, and decide on some next steps forward. After that, we have the priority feedback from our previous phase. So these are high impact issues and ideas. Once again, we can expand these if we need to. We can go ahead and use our quick update feature to update these if we want. So again, the high priority features, or sorry, pieces of feedback from that previous phase. Next up is rising feedback. So these are pieces of feedback with high velocity scores. So if it's gained a lot of traction in the past 7 days, we'll see them right here. Next up is all of the addressed feedback from our previous phase. This is going to include issues and ideas, and like always, this is ranked by impact score. So we'll see those higher impact score items up at the top. And then we like to wrap things up with a look at the top praise items from our previous phase. So always end on a high note, taking a look at what we're doing well. And right here, you can see for our VR headset, it was drawing the Guardian, works perfectly. Now I can also navigate to other dashboards if I want to, just going up at the top right here and selecting any of the dashboards. And it's going to keep it inside presentation mode for me. So if I go to project overview, you can see that now it's presenting project overview in our presentation mode. And if I want to exit presentation mode, just go to the bottom left-hand corner here. We have an exit presentation mode option, and it's going to bring me back to that standard dashboard view. Next up, we're going to take a look at product success, which is a great way of finding out what kind of feedback we want to prioritize towards the end of a project. All right, next dashboard we're going to check out is the product success dashboard. And this is really great for towards the end of the test. Maybe we're starting to get a little low on time, and we really want to prioritize the feedback items with the maximum amount of impact so that we can really produce the most quality results for our product. So let's go ahead and check that out. So I'll go over here, and we're going to go ahead and select product success. And this is one of my favorite dashboards just because of how unique it is and some of the really cool things that we can do with this dashboard. So you can see that we have this graph right here. We have this slider. And right now this slider is set on 20%. So what does that 20% mean? So what that means is that this is only going to display the top 20% of feedback in our project. It's going to list exactly how many feedback items that is, the total combined impact score of those feedback items, and the percentage of identified impact. And we can also move this slider around as well. So if I only want to look at the top 10% of feedback, I can just move this over to 10. And you can see down here at the bottom that adjusted from 35 to 18. This is still 33% of identified impact for all of the impact that's been generated by this project. And we also have a target product success score. So if we were to address all this feedback, what would our success score be? And we'll talk a little bit more about the metrics a little later on in the video. But this is really, really good for narrowing down which feedback items we need to tackle and which ones are going to give us the most impact towards our product. And if I hover over here and click on this, this is actually going to produce a list of the issues and ideas that are contributing to this. So this is going to list those in order of impact score. So we have some high impact ideas right here. We also have a blocking issue down here at the bottom. This works just like our other feedback panels within our dashboards where we can expand this and we can check on replies and whatnot. So we can make those edits right here if we want to, or we can travel directly to the feedback item. Another thing I can do is you can see that some of these boxes have little pencils inside of them. And I can actually type in a number or a value and get results based on that. So let's say I only want to see the top 10 pieces of feedback, top 10, not top 14. We'll click on that. You can see it actually moved our slider over to 6%. And if I open this up, you can see here are our top 10 issues and ideas. I can also adjust based on percentage of total impact. So let's say I want to see 50% of the identified impact of our project. That moves the slider over to 22%. So this is the top 22% of feedback. And I can do the same thing with the target product success. So let's say I want a product success score of 80. I type that in, and there you go. So now we're seeing these top 21 pieces of feedback. So really good for narrowing down those high priority issues and ideas within the project, letting you know what to tackle next, what to review, if something needs fixing or implementing. And it's a really great way to narrow your scope and get the most out of what time is still remaining within your project. Now, before we tackle our Delta metrics, let's take a look at a couple additional dashboards that we have within Centercode. First one I'm going to check out here is our top feedback dashboard. And this is just going to display all the feedback in your project sorted by impact score. So high impact score items are going to be at the top, and then it descends from there. And of course, we can filter this dashboard if we need to. So if I just want to see the top issues, that's totally possible. Just filter out our ideas and our praise. I can also select specific features. So if I just want to see the top issues for our controllers feature, that's available to me. I can do the same thing with the Moculus desktop app, etc. So a great way to just see top feedback items very, very quickly within Centercode. We have a similar dashboard here for top testers. And this is going to display your testers based on how much impact they've generated in the project. And it's going to show how many pieces of feedback they've submitted by feedback type. It's also going to show how many times they commented on something and how many times they voted on something. So this is a great way to identify really top tier testers that maybe you want to bring back for a future project. We also have our phase dashboards here. Think of this as the project overview dashboard, but just narrowed down to a specific phase. You'll get things like your Delta metrics, your feedback by type, impact by feature, etc. And we can actually go one level deeper, and we can actually check out specific features if we want to. So if I go to controllers, it's going to show me an overview dashboard specifically for that feature. So I can see exactly what the satisfaction rating is, how much engagement we're getting, the total number of feedback items submitted for this feature, all that great stuff. Let's go ahead and check out our Delta metrics and how they factor into understanding our project. So we're running our projects. We have all this data coming in, and it's not just feedback data. We have the level of engagement with our testers. We have the kinds of feedback they're submitting. Do they have an issue? Are they submitting an idea? Are they giving us some praise for the product? And then we're also addressing this feedback. We're saying, hey, we fixed that issue, or hey, that's a great idea, we're going to implement it. How do we break all that down, and how can we understand all of that at a glance? And we do it using our Delta metrics. So Delta metrics, these are health, success, and impact. And they're designed to give you a snapshot of your project's performance. Now, they're available all across your project. You can see them on the project overview dashboard. You can also see them in the phase and feature dashboards within a project. And then we also list it on the community home. So it'll be right next to your project in the project list. Now, let's go ahead and break down what each of these metrics do and how they relate to our project. So our first metric is going to be health. And health measures the level of engagement in a project. It's based on three things. We have the participant target. So how many testers do we expect to have in our project? It's also based on activity engagement. How many testers are actively completing all the activities that we've set out within an engagement phase? And then also the quantity of feedback submitted. So are testers submitting as much feedback as they can? Are they completing an activity for, let's say, the controllers feature, and then also submitting an issue, idea, or praise item along with that activity completion? So it's all those things together, really. Think of it this way. If you have testers submitting plenty of feedback, but they aren't completing any of your activities and rating satisfaction and whatnot, you're going to have a relatively low engagement score because they can't necessarily engage as much as they can. And vice versa. If they're completing all their activities, but there's no feedback in our project, again, that is a low engagement score And we need to implement things to get that going, like TED. Now, health is rated on a letter scale. A plus being, hey, all of our testers are doing as much as they can to contribute to the test. They're submitting plenty of feedback. We have all the testers that we need. They're completing all their activities. That would be like the perfect level of tester engagement right there. And then it goes all the way down to NA, which is like, hey, we just don't have enough data to rate engagement at this time. You'll usually see that at the very beginning of a project, and as things move along, you'll eventually get your health rating. Now, our next metric is success. And success is our estimation of how well your product will do on release. And this is based on the amount of positive feedback or praise versus the amount of negative feedback or issues submitted by your testers. So as testers are going through, they're completing activities, they're experiencing the product, they're testing things out. We do have these 3 unique feedback types in the system. And based on, how much of it is positive versus how much of it is negative, how many issues are we running into versus how much praise, that is really going to define our success score. And again, this is our estimation of how well the product will do. Now, products with more praise and issues are going to receive a higher initial success score and vice versa. And we usually express this as a range. So it's going to be rated on a scale between 1 and 100, and that range could be something like between 66 and 92. One of the neat things about success is that it's more accurate with more engagement. So the higher your health score, the higher or the more accurate your success rating is going to be. So if we have a very, very high health rating, like an A, the range between those numbers may be very small. It could be something like, 72 to 76. And then if we have a health rating of A+, we're actually just going to get one single number for our success score, because that's us saying, hey, you have all of your testers that you need. They're doing everything that we can. So we can say with confidence what our success score is going to be. This is our most accurate estimation of how well the product will do on release. Now, our third metric is impact. And impact actually measures the positive impact of addressing feedback on your product's success score. So as you go ahead and mark issues as fixed, or as you implement ideas, you're actually starting to raise the success score of your product, because you're actively telling the platform, hey, we're working to make this product even better. Now, we measure impact as a percentage, and it's going to be that increase in success score as a percentage. So you're going to have your initial baseline success score estimation. And then as you go through the project and start increasing that success score, that percentage is going to be equal to the amount of increase in your success score. So to give you an example, let's say we launched our project, we got our testers in, they gave us the feedback, and then we got a score of 40. That was our initial success score rating. Then we went through, we tackled some of those high impact issues and ideas, we fixed them, we said we're going to implement them, and now we're at a 60 success score. That would be a 50% test impact score. Now, if a product is pretty good to start out with, let's say testers are submitting lots and lots of praise and not too many issues, and really the bulk of the impact generated by our project is from our praise items, we're going to have a pretty high success score to begin with. So our overall test impact score may not be terribly high. We may have something like a 7% impact score or 5% impact score. But that's okay. We are still improving the product. One of the ways I like to put it is, imagine someone made your favorite meal 10% better. You would probably be over the moon. You'd be like, wow, I can't believe they did this. This is incredible. Kudos to the chef, so to speak. So that's the breakdown of our Delta metrics here. And let's go ahead and take a look at them once again in the platform. So this is our product or project overview dashboard right here. You can see that we have a C rating for Delta Health. So engagement could definitely be a lot better. We're 28% from our activity goal here and 46% from our feedback. So you can see that we've got a lot of feedback. within the system, but we could definitely use more activity engagement. And then here's our Delta success score. So you can see it's on that range, 66 to 92. So a relatively wide range here, but we could narrow that down by getting more engagement. We can also increase this by addressing those ideas and fixing those issues. And then Delta impact. So based on kind of the progress we've made so far, we've actually made an impact of 10% on the product itself. So we're moving in the right direction. Our team is going ahead and fixing those issues, implementing those ideas, and making the product a whole lot better. Now we can also view this in the phase dashboard. So if I go to regular usage right here, you can see that we have our Delta metrics for this specific phase. So during this phase, we had actually really good engagement. We had an A- for our phase health. And then our phase success reflects that. So this range is a lot narrower. The success rating based on this phase of testing is a 61 to a 71. That's actually pretty solid. And then our Delta impact score, so all of the feedback that we addressed during this phase or from this phase resulted in a 14% impact on the product success score. So that's pretty good. You know, we're doing some solid work here. Again, we can also take a look at a specific feature if we want to. So taking a look here, this is our controllers feature. This had an even higher feature health rating, so an A, maybe not an A+, but an A. You can see that that range is very, very narrow. It's a 78 to 80, so people really enjoyed this feature. And then we had an impact of 15% from all of our addressed and implemented feedback. And then you can see at the bottom there, you know, a 4.6 satisfaction rating, which is really solid, 75 activity engagements. You know, I think our target was at 80 for testers for this test, so that's incredible right there. And then a great amount of feedback generated, mostly from ideas and praise, but we had a couple issues right there. So that's our breakdown of our dashboards and our Delta metrics. Hope you enjoyed understanding more about our dashboards and metrics and how they factor into all this. And I'll catch you in our next video.